Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt and your other host.
I'm Anthony. Hi.
All right. I don't think you've been affected by a virus. So Anthony and I are doing
tonight.
Yeah, the theme of tonight is the virus that makes you drunk. So I'll get into that in a second. But we are talking about, we're rather doing another Star Trek Thursday. We're talking about The Naked Time, which, if you guys don't know, I'm not going to spoil this episode in full, but there's also an episode called The Naked Now that was an episode of TNG. And John and I actually reviewed that. So it's funny, we reviewed that first before this one, and I'm sure I've seen this one in passing over the years, but I didn't remember it clearly. So when John had told me, oh, this is based off of a TOS episode, I was like, oh, sure, all right. And it was funny, he didn't remember when it aired, though, or when it was in the lineup. And it's so funny that both of them were literally within the first 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even though I didn't like that episode for TNG, I would argue it's a better episode than this one, for one reason and one reason only. Even though it was odd, I'll say this. It was a better episode because those characters, the ones that were acting strangely in TNG, were characters that were going to stick around till, maybe not the show is over, but they were going to stick around for a while. They were the main cast. In this episode, you had a lot of people reacting this way who I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't remember if you're anywhere near a regular, not the main cast, but even a regular. And then you tell me, Anthony, that some of these people we're never going to see again.
Yeah, I don't believe we see at least...
Because, okay, so we see Christine.
Maybe we do, but they're not... What?
We see Christine again.
We see Christine again, yes.
And she's the one who is in love with Spock, and Spock is like,
yeah.
Oh, so here's the thing, too, by the way, something that I think was good in this episode that wasn't with the TNG one. Again, not spoiling, just comparing minimally. So what we learn about some of the characters through the use of this virus to make them a little loopy and not themselves, I felt like it was more impactful here than in TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Because in TNG, so, and maybe it's also the hindsight of me knowing how these characters are supposed to act because I've seen other seasons where TNG I'm actually going into it completely blind. Other than some villains that I know about from later series, I'm pretty much going into TNG completely blind. So maybe it's because I know, Spock is supposed to act this way, that it makes sense that, he's loopy, and then he mentions his mom, and, that's something that's a major thing. But I don't know, comparing some major stuff that we learned from some TNG characters, it felt underwhelming and a little trying to be edgy, kind of, and it just didn't work. Especially with the narrative of TNG trying to be like, the future is actually better. Like, we're better than we were even in TOS. Like, humanity has evolved. And then I hear some backstory, and I'm like, it does not sound like humanity has evolved.
I mean, we're still human in any...
Yes, but like I'll explain it to you, because without spoiling, I'll explain it to you when we're off the podcast who I'm referring to in TNG specifically. But in looking at TOS, though, in with this episode, I enjoyed the way it was executed, but as a whole, though, I did not enjoy the episode as a general Star Trek episode. And the reason why is because I don't, like, I feel like, okay, if the writers truly believed this is what you're like when drinking, and all of them are Mormon. They have never had a sip of alcohol. This, even piss drunk, I wouldn't be. I'm sorry. I don't think this is what it's like to be drunk. Now, if they were told, if Gene Roddenberry, if someone told Gene, look, we can't say it's like being coked out on Main Street. We can't put that in the script, Gene. So we have to use something else. And he was like, fine, drunk. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, because they seemed like they were...
I don't know if it was intended to be that or just be just completely different but still make them go bonkers.
Well, no, they said the phrase. It's like as if being drunk, or they were acting as if they were drunk. And then, but seeing other characters, I'm like, that's not being drunk. Like, you look like you are on hard drugs, or you are on some kind of mood shifting drug of some type, like specifically a Star Trek thing that elevates or changes mood. Because I know some people would say no, but that's what alcohol is, but not to that extent.
Yeah.
Like, you see some of them, and I'm just like, that was weird. Like, literally, some of them are writing shit what looks to be in blood. I'm like, who fucking gets drunk? And it's just, what the fuck was going on in the 60s? That they were like, oh, come on, who has not gotten that drunk? Me and a lot of my friends.
Who's not gotten drunk enough to, write, Sinner
Red rum.
Shall Pay in blood on the wall?
Yeah, Sinner Shall Pay, Red Rum, and other wonderful Stanley Kubrick quotes on the fucking wall. Like, no, like, seriously? No, seriously, that was some Helter Skelter shit. And I was like, why the fuck? It really was, though. Am I wrong? Like, what the fuck was going on?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying your reaction to it.
I'm just saying, I feel like someone on the bridge is Charles Manson. I'm just saying, or at least part of the club. I forgot what they called themselves. The family, part of the family.
I wanted to point out though that the actress who played Christine later in TNG plays Troy's mother. She's she's
cool.
Laura Oksana. Yeah.
Oh,
but
that's awesome.
I wanted to make a correction because I think I said in a previous podcast. This is coming up in my head. I may or may not have said this, but I think I said in a previous podcast that it was Janice Rand's actress who played her. That's not true. The actress who played Christine is Deanna Troy's mom in The Next Generation.
Thank you for correcting yourself before the internet ever had a chance to. You were like,
yes.
I just want everybody to know. Nobody was questioning.
And I'm not entirely sure if I said. Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think
not
you
entirely
did.
Sure if I said it, but in my mind I feel like I said it. And just in case, I want to make a correction either way.
All right, I think you're starting to get hit by the virus. I'm just saying, like, in the off chance if I did say what was said, my mind told me. Anyway.
Before it was even said, I want to say before.
Exactly. Here's something that I enjoyed, which might seem, this is going to sound like a weird comment, but when I was worried that them getting drunk, because because of when this came out, you're always worried about certain like racial caricatures and things like that. But I think it was very interesting that with Sulu. But here's the thing, though. Unless it was something in the 60s that I don't know about, him going out with the rapier was much different than if he was like in full samurai gear on a horse. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's. There isn't, like, what I'm trying to get at here is that I feel like depending on what era something is in, like I say this came out in like the 80s, they would have no problem just being like, yeah, no, put him in samurai gear and let's have Uhura and something a bit more tribal, and it's like, oh, good God. I mean, John and I talked about that one episode. I can't remember the name now, but it was really bad. It was like
Next Generation?
Yes. One of the earlier ones.
I know which one you're talking about.
You literally know the exact one. Just by that last line alone, you're like, I know. The cast has even gone against that one over the years. Like, cons are like, yeah, that was some racist shit. So, anyway, but it's interesting that in this case, it's like, yes, Sulu was the one that was most out there, but it was, I don't know, it just wasn't. It wasn't done in a way that's like, oh, well, he's Asian or he's Japanese. It has to be done
I never felt it was race specific.
Yeah, no, it was weird.
That's
like
just
you can say that it's no, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not Asian, you're not Asian, but I still feel as if it was weird. What I'm getting at though is again some other stuff from TNG or even just from other stuff you and I have watched over the years, even in sci-fi. Obviously, I think it was either you and I or John and I saying we are only as like sci-fi is only as developed as we are when we are writing it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So even though it's it's still a kind of a piece in time, if you will. But there were
it's
was
still a 60s. It's still kind
show.
of a 60s setting, even though it's supposed to be in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it was during the pilot with Pike when it was just like some line about like what kind of man could run this ship, or only a man like you, or only a man could run the ship, and it was just like, what? It's a fucking ship, bro. Like, what about Pike? It's just because he's a man. Just like, oh well, he has to run the ship. It was just so silly. But no, in this case, again, it was odd, and I see why people have memed it. But initially, out of context, I thought it had something to do with him being Japanese, not the rapier, but like something surrounding it, being like him just being wacky, like them thinking like, oh, he's wacky and he's Asian. But no, because of the context of the virus, like, and also again, he's talking about French this and for the Queen that and everything. It had nothing to do with him
anything.
And anything. Yeah, exactly. Like it was just general loopiness. Well, it had to do with the history of the rapier, but not so much him, which I think was very interesting and good of them to do. Like, look, it's a weird concept, but at least you're not going to certain tropes. Like I feel like even the 90s, growing up in the 90s, I could see certain tropes like that on TV.
Oh,
so it's interesting that in this show that came out in '66, they didn't do that. Oh, my favorite line was, "I will save you, my fair maiden. Sorry, neither. Fucking lost it."
Yeah, that was incredible. That was the best line of the episode.
Nichelle Nichols, either she delivers them well, but they gave her the best lines. Because remember when she asked if there were any moons on Vulcan?
Yes.
And Spock was like, no. And she was like, nah, I thought so.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Yeah, exactly. They gave her the best fucking lines. God damn. But
she has amazing lines. And if you ever see the animated series, I don't know if you saw the animated series.
No.
The one that they tried to continue Star Trek with the animated series and all the original
sequel.
actors. Yeah, it was kind of what happened after and everything, and the original actors all came back to voice, and Uhura was great in that too.
So yeah, I didn't know it was
she's
considered
just great.
a sequel.
I love her so much. I really love her.
No, she's just such a fun character. That's the thing. Like she also, it's interesting too that she didn't even get hit with the virus at all. Like it's interesting how they said that it spread here, because I don't remember how they said it spread in TNG, but here I thought it was going to spread just through blood, but it also spreads through perspiration, which makes sense.
Through sweat. Yeah.
Yes, through sweat, which makes sense because you have Kirk stage slapping Spock till the roosters crow in the morning, till the sun goes down or the sun comes back up. They would just stage slapping Spock. And Spock's like, actually, Captain, fuck you. And then slaps him right back. And then it's just like, oh no, Spock. I've gotten the disease. Ba-na. Oh, dude, I fucking love this. I don't know if I mentioned this so far. I fucking love the sound cues in these episodes. Like, I know they're the same reused cues and everything, but, like, I could just be doing nothing. I could be walking around my house. But if I hear that, something's fucking going down. Like, no, like what I'm saying is, like, if you and I were talking to each other, right, and you were like, hey, Matt, you told me your stomach wasn't doing so hot before. You okay? And I'm like, yeah, man, it was just, some bad food. Don't worry, I should be good. Down now. Oh, God, I gotta go.
Oh, my
God. Like, if I hear that, I'm like, oh, shit. I gotta go. Like, just the musical cues, the second they hit, you're like, oh, everyone's fucked. It doesn't matter what the scene is. Like, it could be any...
The sound cues were on point.
I don't care what scene it is. Like, I want every movie to have those sound cues, those specific cues. every single movie. I want it to be, where like in movie trailers where the boom got used everywhere for a bit.
Yeah.
I want that to be used in films, just any film. Like I'm just talking about every single fucking film. Just like rom-coms, just man woman kissing. Did you bring a condom? Bow.
Oh my God.
I have to go. Someone dies horrifically. Bow. Like only close-up. Oh, by the way, it has to be used only on close-ups of one character.
You should re-edit Star Wars for the 15th time. I am your father.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Just that. Also, no, Luke is my brother. Oh, that's a good one for Han.
Zoom in on Han's face.
But that's actually a good one for Han. But still, yeah, I'm talking about everything. Just, you got to put that in there. It's just such a fucking good cue. Speaking of Q, I like Q. Wrong show, but I like Q. Anyway, so jumping back to TOS. Yeah, who the fuck are some of these people? I mean, we literally have this dude who I could swear, at least up until this point, I have not seen.
They're crewmen.
Yes, but I could swear that I have not seen these crewmen yet. And also, the show so far hasn't really try to build up their crewmen in any way. Like yes, they do rotate main cast, because I'm assuming it's like we can't have them on every single episode, either due to costs, general pay costs, or like also the fact that you just be working them ragged. So I'm assuming that's why.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that's why we didn't have, because Chekhov isn't part of the show yet, correct?
I don't think. Yeah, no. I think he comes
a little bit later.
He comes in at some point. Yeah, later.
So yeah, because we did have Bones, we had Uhura, we had Spock, we had Sulu actually. So we had we also had Kirk. So actually, we had a fair amount. Because sometimes you'll randomly it'll be like, where did Sulu go this episode?
Yeah.
But no, we actually had a fair amount of people in this one, to be fair. But no, we haven't built up any of these crewmen. Maybe I think we've seen Christine before in a previous episode, I believe.
Yes, and we've seen Janice Rand before too.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, we have seen
we
that,
we will again.
Right, of course. But out of everyone that's gotten drunk in this episode, for the most part, if they weren't someone that we could, be like, oh yes, you go to every con because you are the main cast. You were in every single Star Trek movie after the initial series ended. Well, for the most part, I would imagine some of them. But still, there's just certain characters that I'm like, yes, obviously that's you. But a few people, it just was a thing where I kind of sat there, and again, it's like, who is this man who is taking over the ship? Seriously, who is this man? And why does everyone be like I don't know, like it just feels like this kind of like this I don't know if I want to use this term because I know it's actually used like for real in real life for shitty people, but I'm going to sort of use it in a very light toned way. It's kind of like a character gaslighting thing where I'm just kind of sitting there and I'm like, who is that? And they're just like, oh, God, Tom, am I right? Fucking Tom. Man, Tom's been here since the beginning. You fucking flash to, like, baby Star Trek and Tom's there. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck Tom is. I've never met Tom. We're a few episodes into this. We're 2 pilots. Who the fuck is Tom? That's how I feel.
It's like that.
But that's how I feel about this episode in particular. Like, I have no problem with a good red shirt death. Don't get me wrong. Right? But when you have characters doing big things like this, like I feel like if I remember correctly, as the show goes on, they kind of tone that down because it's just weird. Because who do you focus on when you have random people coming in and it's just like, oh no, he's taking over the ship. Yeah, but who are you? Like if Sulu took over the ship, at least I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. I know that guy.
Yeah. But, I didn't, for some reason, I think that they didn't really know who was gonna be, important and who was gonna make a hit or who was gonna do a whole bunch of stuff. It didn't seem like anyone was really fleshed out in the beginning, and they just started to gradually flesh them all out later. And
well, no, that's
you know what
true.
I mean? Like,
no, you're not wrong. But I feel as if, but I don't believe. How do I word this? There are still a few people though that clearly, because they give them certain amounts of screen time, they are the main crew. And that's your Kirk, your Spock, your Uhura, your Sulu, and your Bones. You give them the main slots for the most part, and they're sitting at the table usually making these decisions because they are the main. What was that?
And Scott too.
Right. Yes, of course. So but I bring this up because of the fact that, like, if anything goes wrong on the ship, I feel like it should be on them too. It's just weird to introduce someone to be like this, like, not that they're a villain necessarily, but oh yes, they're controlling the ship now, and I don't know who you are. like I'm not saying that you have to be one of. I mean, in some way I would like it if it was one of those main few of the main cast, but like even if it isn't, if it was someone who we had seen time and time again, like the woman who was in love with Spock, or with the other woman that I can't remember her name, but you mentioned her before, that we had seen in the episode Charlie X.
Yes, Janice Rand, and then Christine, who was the one who was in love with Spock.
Thank you, Rand. Yes. So if she had appeared, or if Christine would have been the ones, at least it's like, okay, we've seen them before. With Christine, she was new, but again, you've mentioned we're going to see her again, so it's fine. But I just have the strangest feeling we're not going to see most of
20 years.
Yeah, but I have a feeling we're not going to see some of these drunkards again. So it's a little odd. Also, and I know this might, I don't know, I guess maybe even, like, okay, so the concept I like, but the premise, and I'll throw this over to you in a second, the premise of, it became part of the ship because someone who should be trained in this shit took off the hand of his suit. And the blood went on there. Like, if it had went on him and then somehow escaped during the containment process, when it's like, all right, clean us, essentially, when they get in there, they're like, get rid of all the bacteria. If it had escaped during that, because there was a split second when the crewman nearly walked off and Spock was like, whoa. When that happened, if it had left the blood, that would have been interesting. But the fact that a random crewman who it's like, they have to teach you this basic shit at the fucking academy, and also they're all dead. Like, why do you want to touch any of that, even if they're not contagious?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. Even just, like, the concept is cool. The ending was really freaking cool, but the setup was just so bad that it's like, that man should be fired and stripped of any rank that he has and should be sent back to Earth because, dude, you literally, while you were standing there in an area where it's like, well, why are we wearing these hazmat suits? I don't know. Let me just take it off for a second. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what era I'm in.
I think they were looking for a reason.
They were trying, yeah, but it's like, just let the blood go on the suit. I know they cost money, but, like, maybe that's why. They're like, we can't let anything get on the suit. Do you know? we use these for 10 different productions in 1 month. We can't let anything get on this suit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It just felt like it was so odd because it's like, you guys are in space. You've trained for this. You've been put through what I imagine to be plenty of simulations at the academy. Why? Also, I think I texted you. I was like, does he have a red shirt under that hazmat suit or what? But
yeah, no.
Yeah, so I've been complaining a lot. But what do you feel similar to me, or do you disagree with me? Do you? But, yeah.
This is actually my least favorite episode.
Okay.
Now
why is that? Because I'm curious why. Because I've complained a lot, but like, why
for
you?
For all the reasons you said, actually.
Damn.
Because I I wasn't a fan of like adding. I'm not really a fan of like adding people in that the show assumes you should know and then takes them away and stuff like that, and the whole thing with the Irish guy just got annoying to me a little.
Oh, right, you're Irish.
Yeah. But,
that's why.
Well, that's not why, but a little bit.
But it is. But it's not why, but it's why. You know what my problem was is that like I don't know, it just like his singing wasn't good. I know that was the whole point, I guess, because literally you have Kirk like, don't let it happen again.
I'll take you home again, Kathleen.
Set phasers to kill.
That is an Irish folk song. That's not made up.
Cool.
That's an Irish folk song.
Okay, so that's fucking cool.
Sung differently than that, but that is an Irish folk song.
Okay, no. You know what? That I actually like a lot. That was real. That's really cool. So the ending, though, well, I know it's all techno babble, mumbo jumbo like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It was still really fucking cool.
I meant to say that. I agree with you about the ending too. The ending, I really like the ending.
But
how they discovered,
narratively,
but like,
I don't see why it makes any sense narratively.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah,
you'd think that would be more of a big deal, though. Like, that's what I thought. Like, hey, you know what? We just discovered time travel, and then maybe it's touched on upon again, but it's just like I feel like it would be more of a bigger deal. You know what I mean?
There's probably like several novels that are just like, holy shit! Just literally every single page. Yeah, for me, okay, so I actually thought, I don't know, like I think Kirk was just like, I shouldn't move in my seat because I just shit my pants. So maybe that's what it was. If I just sit here until they all leave the deck, I can then get up. Because, dear God, they went back in time. But, like, so two things. One, like you said, it should probably matter more. I thought Kirk was going to say something along the lines of, let's not tell Starfleet. Like, even though he's a great captain and he reports everything in his journal, that's a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah,
so I feel like he should have kept that to themselves. Second thing.
Yeah.
That confused me. Why did it matter that they went back 3 days?
It really doesn't. I think they were looking for like, an amount of time to go back in time that's just like not a big amount of time, but so they just like settled on 3 days.
Okay. No, because the thing is that like what I'm trying to get at mostly is so the issue was, right? Oh God, the entire ship almost is infected. Thankfully, we have enough of a cure that I in this case being Kirk was hit with the cure, and of course Sulu as well. So Sulu and Kirk were hit with the cure, thankfully. But
yeah,
I guess you could say if they go back, like I don't know, is it we went back in time 3 days, so the rest of the ship is fine? Like they're not sick?
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Because the reason why, like when they said we're going back in time 3 days, I was like, is that like enough time to save that other ship? And then they're like, oh yes, 3 days ago, that's when this whole thing started. And I'm like, oh God, they're still dead. Just for some reason, you guys get an extra 3 days.
That does bring up a good point, though. They could have gone back in time and saved the ship.
That would have been interesting. Like, if we go back far enough in time, that could create a paradox.
They could have been.
But
you know what they could have did? This is coming to me now. They could have made this episode a two-parter, where they discovered time travel and then they used the time travel to go back and save the ship. That would have made sense.
They could have saved Charlie.
They could have saved Charlie. They could have saved
Before.
the guy who forgot about all of his training. And then they could have slapped him on the back of the head and said, listen, remember your training because, you know.
But if but if they go back in time without a hazmat suit, then they'll all get the disease. There. What else could they have done? Oh, they could have just slapped those Megamind dudes in the head while Pike was in prison. And the pilot. Two Kirks could have punched that God dude really bad in the other pilot.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Two Kirks. Yeah, that's it so far. Nothing yet. Oh God, just Kirk randomly stumbling upon. Wait, is Discovery before or after TOS? Isn't it before TOS?
Discovery takes place before TOS. Yeah.
Yeah, just Kirk stumbling upon the set.
And also Enterprise takes place before TOS, but I don't know if Enterprise takes place before Discovery or after.
All I know is
I don't know.
I need
I
more
haven't
Scott
seen
Bakula.
Discovery.
That's fine that you haven't. I need more Scott Bakula in my life. So
he's great. I didn't like Enterprise, but he's great.
I don't know anything about Enterprise other than Scott Bakula's in it, and he's also in Quantum Leap. So
yes, he was.
Got it. Have you seen all of Quantum Leap?
I've seen a few episodes of Quantum Leap. I haven't seen it all.
You need to see a few more. So good, such a good show.
No, it is a really great show, and
God,
he's
love Quantum Leap.
He's a great actor, and he does a good job in Enterprise. I just don't like the show, but I mean that's for another time.
Yes. So Christine is in love with Spock. Cool, I guess.
Yeah, but what?
Cool, I guess. I'm assuming that's going to go somewhere someday.
I don't remember it going anywhere any other day, but
I mean, like, just being mentioned. Like, it would be so odd if it was never mentioned again, but we continuously see her and Spock.
I don't remember when it comes. Not to say that it doesn't, but I don't remember if it comes up again.
That's fair. Also, God, I love Leonard Nimoy. So, not that I didn't think he had the acting chops to do something like this, but again, I haven't really seen a lot of TOS. Well, that's not true. I have, but it's been a very, very long time. So, because of that, I, again, did not remember this scene. So, the scene in particular, of course, is when he's breaking down, talking about his mother and everything like that. And it just felt I don't want to say real necessarily, but it felt like he was in pain.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like it just felt like what was needed, I guess, because again, like imagine someone who is always taught to hide their emotions and does a very good job of it, and is half Vulcan. So because of that, he's still very logic based, even with being half human. But yeah, no, it was just something that having that come out of nowhere was a really big shock, and I think the best, really, if anything could be scrapped from this episode, I would say scrap everything other than learning about his half human genes.
Yeah, and that's really one of the only, when I say one of the only, not the only, but one of the only times where you actually see Spock vulnerable.
Yeah. And it was needed.
It happens it happens in a later episode in a different way, but
I feel as if it was, in this case, it was like it's too early in the series. I feel, because I feel like it's weird because, like, again, we don't really know these characters that well, but at the same time, though, I guess with the context of who these characters are, this is a great moment, and I'm happy, that it was in the series at all. And it's so funny because again, this moment is something. The way the series works, it's not, it's not like mentioned every single episode because it's not, you don't really have overarching plots. So I say this because when it came up in the movie, I could like the movie that's in the other universe technically. What is it? The Kelvin timeline is what they're calling it. So when the movie came out, the Abramverse, and I heard that he was half human, I could swear there were people around me that were just like, I don't know if it was in our friend group or just people in general who were like, "What? He wasn't half human." And then like you had to have some mega nerds be like, "Actually."
Yeah.
Yes,
he was.
Yeah. No, but I could swear there were some
the
people.
thing.
I don't know if you remember any just general chatter online or just people in our friend group maybe who were just like, "I didn't know he was half human."
Oh, there was definitely people who didn't know he was half human, but in a later episode of Star Trek, we get, this is not really a spoiler, but his parents do show up in an episode.
Oh.
Like I'm talking much later. I'm talking like I think season 3.
Okay.
You see Spock's parents, and his mom is human.
Yeah, no, it's again like it's just really cool that that wasn't discarded in any way. Like even though each episode doesn't necessarily connect to the last one for the most part, still it's nice that that's just canon because it's one of those things where at the time there were some issues, especially you and I talked about with the pilot. It wasn't in the pilot, but in general, the kiss between Nichols and Shatner, and how even there were some stations at the time that refused to air it in the U.S. They were just like, "Well, we're not airing that episode. Too bad." So it's interesting to have a character who, yes, of course, half of his race is an alien, doesn't exist, but still to show that like, hey, race mixing, 2 aliens, because it's something that like I like that this show just kind of puts out the fact that like, yeah, and what's the problem with that? Like no one's like, whoa, like the show is in general.
Not really
What?
Yeah, no, it's I don't see it as a problem. I don't know if people back then would have seen it as a problem.
Well, again, it's race mixing. That was considered a problem in the 60s.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if that would have translated to Alien.
No. What I'm trying to say is this, though. If we had the internet like we do now, people would have said it was SJW garbage. This pandering, trying to talk about the mixing, we get it, we see it.
Yeah.
The way we have the internet now, if it was available back then, you can bet your ass there would be people on message boards being like, ugh.
Oh my God.
So
that's
just
very true.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to bring it up in that regard. Like it's just one of those things where like again the show doesn't really question it. Like yes, of course he mentions that there are problems because again Vulcans are, have to hide their emotions, but he's also half human and trying to deal with what that is, and even talking about his friendship with Kirk, like was heartbreaking. Where it's like when I feel friendship,
I feel guilty.
Like I'm, yeah. It's like ooh, so like
that really hit me. That was like, oh my God, we're seeing it from his perspective, and it's really heartbreaking.
It is. So I really enjoyed that. And again, just having that talk. And it's something that up until this point we never really saw from Spock because all we thought we knew was that he's Vulcan. And these are how Vulcans are. Vulcan. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere it's just, my mother was human, Jim. It's like, oh God. I never told her I loved her, Jim. Holy shit. Also, I love how he says it as if she's dead, and then she just appears in season 3.
What?
Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the way he says it, I mean, then again, on this voyage, you never know if you're going to die. But I love how he says it in a way where he's like, I never told my mother I loved her. I mean, don't worry. You can just call her. Do you want the phone? Do you want the ship's phone? You can ring her.
Yeah.
If you like, you can tell her you love her.
Well, he didn't really. I mean, I don't think he came out and said that she was dead, but like
no,
he
but
did.
If you tell me I never told my father I loved him, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about your dad. You'd be like, what? No, he's in the living room. Like, then walk over and tell him, Anthony. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they meant for her. I guess I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
They didn't mean for the show to go on that long, I guess.
Yeah, right. Just Gene Roddenberry is like, hold the fucking tits. We got renewed for a second season,
and then a third.
Wow. Gene then goes on to talk about ejaculate for 3 hours. Do you know some of the interesting stuff about Roddenberry? Like I was randomly, someone shared something he said on Twitter. Like I think it was from like a book or something, not of his words, but of someone saying like, yeah, Gene said this to me once in a meeting, and it was just really weird. I don't know if it was TOS or TNG. I forgot what it was specifically, but it was something about like, it was either about, I think it was about Dix and Coke or something like that, and not Coca-Cola. I don't know if you know about some of these weird Gene Roddenberry stories.
I didn't know that.
All right. Well, okay. So I got to send you some of these stories about him.
Okay.
They're nuts. But again, this is more towards the TNG side. That's why I've been making these jokes this episode about Roddenberry. Like, I'm just wondering if he's just like, it's someone just telling him, Gene, we can't say coked out of his mind. Fine, then drunk. We'll use drunk. Yeah, so just, I don't know where else to go from here. Yeah, so you meant, I love how Bones is just like, gotta give you this injection while I'm not taking my shirt off. All right. Rips his fucking shirt. Like, what were those things made of that someone can just grab one and rip them like that?
McCoy's muscles.
Yeah, right. No, I feel like somebody, when that shirt was ripped, somebody must have cried. And it was like, why are you crying? We have to fire. We can't. We need another shirt, but we can't make one. We don't have the money. We have to fire someone. They fired someone like on Christmas. I'm so sorry, but like we ripped the shirt. We can't keep you on anymore. We can only have X amount of people on screen at a time, and now we've lost one of our shirts. I mean, dude, the budget on this thing was like so low in terms of what they could do at the time. Like, or not even what they could do, but in terms of just the money that they had available, that like I would not be surprised if losing a shirt was like, God damn it. I mean, think about it. This entire episode took place without an actual monster of the week. They just had some fake blood move, which looks really cool, don't get me wrong. But they had some fake blood move around. Probably some like ketchup or like barbecue sauce.
Probably
move around.
Something like that.
And then once it touched his skin, they were like, awesome, he's infected. We're not going to do... everyone's... Oh, does it make their skin look weird? What, do you think we're fucking made of money? Get the fuck out of the writer's room. Make them look weird. Well, are we going to change their voice? Fire that man. And if his family works at NBC, fire them too. Get them the fuck out of here. Make their voice sound weird. Have the money for that. For bowls? We don't have the money for bowls. We're not going to get them out of here. You know that's how they used to do it, right? Before computers were this fancy. They would they would get bowls. They would, like Doctor Who, they did a lot of cool shit with with random everyday household items. Like they would shake
bubble wrap.
Thank you. Bubble wrap is one.
Before it had bombs
would,
in it.
What was that?
Before it had bombs in it.
I don't know what that is a reference. Oh, God damn it, right. I know what that is. I understood that reference. So, yeah, no, they also used, oh, God, what's the, like tinfoil?
Oh, yeah.
There's something, yeah, they shook something. I can't think of. It would mimic the sound of, like, you know when you hit, like, the washing machine? Like, you would shake that and it would make certain sound. Yeah, they would, like, they would have, like,
they
lot,
would make,
you know,
yeah, they would make household items seem really terrifying.
Yeah, well, and you get not even in props. Again, just shaking them in the recording booth to make those sound effects, because that's what you had to do. So when you look at, you know, when you look at this show, it's like afford a bowl, never. Get them out of here. So I just, oh God, even writing on the door, I'm sure they were just like, we had to write on the door. Like, just, so can we hire a cleaning staff? You are the cleaning staff. I'm an extra. And you're also well, then fine. Here's your motivation. You want to clean this door.
You're being paid in cleaning equipment.
Oh, God. You're being paid in cleaning equipment. Oh, Jesus. But, yeah, no, it's yeah. They did not have the budget. So, yeah. Oh, I love how they called it a time warp, by the way. I'm not saying Roddenberry or that they coined the term, but it's a term that has been used in Rocky Horror and, of course, a lot of media over the last, 50-plus years.
Yeah.
So
I got to look up where that phrase came from.
Yeah.
And
can you do that now or no?
I'll do that. I'll do that by the next podcast.
Oh, I can look it up right now. That's what I was
okay.
just asking. Well, as we're wrapping this up, I can look it up right now. No, but what were you going to say?
I was gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna.
About time warp.
Say, yeah, about time warps. I don't know if that was the first time that was used. I want to say no.
Yeah, me too.
Because there had to have been someone in some
novel.
pulp magazine somewhere to coin the phrase, but
there had to have been some novel. That's my take on it. Like,
yeah, some novel or short story or pulp magazine or something.
Oh,
or
what
comic.
was that? What was that book series that got turned into like a Disney movie in like 2009 that no one watched? It was about that dude on an alien planet.
John Carter.
Thank you. Yeah. So
that was Edgar Rice Burroughs' the Mars series.
Yeah,
and
from like
that
the 50s.
Series, yeah, and that series, Edgar Rice Burroughs also wrote Tarzan, but that series is a very beloved sci-fi series, and Disney basically they I didn't see the movie, so I don't know what they did.
I thought they took like the third book. They took
one of the books, but they didn't.
Context,
they
no
kind
context.
of just did what they want with it, and
they took.
and
I think
it wasn't actually the story.
Yeah, well, I think it was kind of like the Dark Tower thing. What I mean is that, like, let me explain that in a second. So with John Carter, I feel like they took one of the books without the context of all the other books and were like, here's an action movie. And people were like, but I don't know who the fuck John Carter is, and I kind of don't care. And then people didn't watch it. And the people who liked the books, if they cared enough, they just saw that it looked like a generic action movie, so they were like, we don't want to watch this. But jumping to the oh God, I said the name and I already forgot it. Dark Tower series. There was that new movie that came out. Dark Tower is actually a series of Stephen King books, and one of the characters in Dark Tower actually appears in Stephen King's It. So it's interesting how his universe is connected in some way or another. But with the Dark Tower series,
I actually didn't know that.
I'll tell you. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I'll tell you after. Have you read It?
No.
Damn it. Well, either way, I'll tell you after.
I haven't seen it.
It's technically a spoiler, so I'll tell you after the podcast. But
yeah,
either way, yeah. But anyway, so the point is that with the Dark Tower movie that came out, it was actually considered somewhat of a sequel. So you kind of had to have read the books first, but there's like 9 books.
Yeah.
So that limits your market exponentially. Versus the new Constantine show, which sadly was canceled after 1 season. But guess what? You didn't have to watch or read any Constantine beforehand. I'm coming into that with almost no context, and it feels like people know each other, but like nothing about the show states, hey, you have to know about Constantine beforehand. So it actually works. Sadly got canceled. Anyway, with Time Warp, it seems as if, looking at it from entertainment, there was a Time Warp TV series, but that's newer. Yeah, it's like 2008. So looking at Time Warp comics, no, 1980, that's 2. Time Warp is also an electronic music festival, all right. Yeah, because I'm trying to see when it originated as a phrase, but they're just giving me things that have Time Warp in it, and I'm like, thank you. Thank you so much. This is exactly what I needed, Wikipedia. But what I was trying to get at before when I mentioned John Carter, thank you for the save, by the way, Anthony, was the fact that there clearly has to have been something, probably from like the 50s, maybe even a little earlier, where Time Warp was used. Hell, probably his novels. I've already forgot the name of the author, but probably his novels.
Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yes, thank you. Edgar Rice Burroughs would have used that term in some way or another. There is. I'm sure there's a way to to find the origins, probably in print. Go to your local library, kids.
Yes,
but I
your
can't.
library.
Yeah, I mean, I can't find it online. Any search of Time Warp is like, do you want Rocky Horror? And it's like, on any other day, yes, but not today, Google. But yeah, I don't think
any other time that's not this.
Yeah, I don't believe this is the first time Time Warp was used. I mean, if it was, hell yeah, but I have a feeling it came up somewhere prior, even if it was just a few years. Even if it was a few years prior. No, but I would argue it's pretty close. I mean, unless Time Warp came up in like an 1890s French film or something.
It's like the earliest, because I know that that H.G. Wells coined the phrase time machine because his novel The Time Machine was the first time a time machine actually was used. But I don't think the word time warp was ever in that novel.
Probably not. Maybe warp through time.
Yeah, because even though that's the first time Time Machine was used, I don't think Time Warp
was in that. What year was
that?
Do you remember?
What?
What year did that book come out? Curious.
Time Machine?
Yeah.
18 something.
Okay, so I feel as if that maybe the term warp through time was used, and then maybe the writers of Star Trek were like, oh, time warp? No?
Yeah.
Maybe. Either way, though, I think that was, again, like we said earlier, as we're wrapping this up, coolest part of the episode, completely irrelevant by them going, so, did we have 3 extra days? Want a party?
Yeah.
What do you do after that? We've been gifted 3 extra days. Fuck yeah. Do, 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 do. I mean, it was, you know what it is too, dude? I think because of Doctor Who, I've been conditioned to be okay with bullshit endings like that. So I think that, like, even though it's like, well, no, because it came out of nowhere, and I feel like if I had watched this before Doctor Who, I'd be like, well, that's some Deus Ex Machina bullshit. But now I'm like, that was cool. Time travel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
the
it's
Time
a
Machine
reprieve.
came out in.
What?
Oh, the Time Machine came out in 1895. Just to.
Cool. So.
Specify that clearly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel as if because of Doctor Who, I can look, and again, even just the rest of the episode as well, it kind of makes me sit back and go, yeah, time travel. That's the best part of this episode. And of course, the kids at the time blew their fucking minds. Could you imagine?
Oh, yeah, no. People watching at that time were probably like, "Aah!" And
That's
made that
exactly.
exact sound.
They did. Across the nation. It's like War of the Worlds. You just have someone on the radio, like massive amounts of people across the U.S. are going, "Wah!" At exactly 8:45. No, sorry, 8:48. 8:55? I don't know when it aired. I'm assuming it aired prime time. Actually, that might be 9. Either way, we've run it. This has run its course. So, anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
If you go into space, always leave your suit on and don't take off your gloves.
Yes. And also,
And
don't start asking questions, kids. Because I love it, by the way, the one guy that's super drunk is just like, if we can't breathe out here, why should we even be out here? And I'm like, these are really good questions. And they're looking at him like he's fucking crazy. I'm like,
I was going to say that, too. I was going to say, like, a lot of good philosophical points, like, what the hell are we doing out here? That's a good thing to think about.
Yeah, no, like...
Yeah. That's another thing
like,
I would say, yeah.
Replace some adjectives and replace some replace some nouns, and literally you could have sent that over to the U.S. military about being like, why are we in Nam?
Yeah.
Seriously, like this is why are we here? Why are we supposed to be here right now? This is like we're not meant to be here. Why are we supposed to be here? Invading here, because like literally they're talking about it like we invade and we destroy and we pollute, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is awesome. And they're looking at him like he's crazy, and I'm like, maybe in your time that sounds kooky, but it don't sound too crazy right now. So yeah, it was like you said, such interesting philosophical questions, but they aired it under the guise of, Drunky McDrunkerton over here needs to take a nappy nap, and he's just like, humanity is doomed, long live humanity. This guy. Anyway, so anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
Don't get blood everywhere and keep your suit on. Yeah, I said that. But.
All right, yeah, you did. You didn't mention don't get blood everywhere, but again, great tips for any listeners.
Don't sweat on people who are.
Just don't sweat on people. I think in general, don't sweat on people. Someone will be like, "Oh, don't sweat people." Like, don't if they get don't like worry about them. No, just genuinely don't sweat on another human being, please.
Yeah, don't
Stop
do that.
Do not do that. All right, so thank you all so much for listening in, as always, to another episode of Star Trek Thursday. If you are watching us on a YouTube channel, Those Guys on the Radio, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below about some stuff you may or may not have liked in this episode. And you could be listening to this through our Blog Talk Radio account, which is blogtalkradio.com/ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. If you are, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching us and helping us be us. Also, you could be downloading this through our iTunes, which is iTunes. Well, get on iTunes and you search up Those Guys there, and you should find this with a bunch of other archive stuff that we've done, not just Star Trek Thursdays. Actually, we do a lot of different stuff on the channel or with the podcast. And wanted to mention as well, it's not just Anthony and I doing Star Trek Thursday. I mentioned before, it's actually John and I as well looking at Star Trek TNG, The Next Generation, and I've done a few more with him, Anthony, so we need to catch up a little bit, do a little catching up. We do, because this show is very fun. It's just every once in a while we'll have an episode like this, but that's okay. No TV show is perfect.
Mhm.
But yeah, overall, I think this might be the weakest so far. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I think it's one of my least favorite episodes, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens every now and again. So, love you all. Take care, and tune in next time for another episode of Star Trek Thursday, or maybe something completely different. Follow us on social media to find out at Those Guys Radio, Facebook.com/Those Guys on the Radio, and our main website, tgproduction.net. All right, guys. So, see ya.
Bye, guys.
Live long and prosper.